Hilary Duff is one of many actresses who's become intrinsically linked to their most iconic role, for better or for worse. That role, of course, would be the titular character on the hit Disney Channel original sitcom Lizzie McGuire. The show, which saw an incredibly successful run from 2001 to 2004, also spawned a hit theatrical film in 2003, spawned a character that Hilary Duff has had an incredibly hard time living down as well. She may have an easier time living it down now, though, as Hilary Duff has finally confirmed Lizzie McGuire is dead for good. No matter what she does, Hilary has always felt as if she's being typecast in any new role she attempts to get. Duff has managed to find at least a little bit of success starring in roles outside of the Disney sphere, but she still always feels she's being somewhat typecast because of her young and innocent iconic character. After the show ended, she found middling success in films such as Material Girls alongside her sister Haley. As well, she also took some roles in smaller independent films such as War Incorporated that allowed her to branch out a little, but still didn't quite gain the notoriety for her she had hoped. Her musical career was going along steadily, but it was acting that was her true passion, and she was having a hard time finding a new role for herself that took her seriously, with executives always saying she was good, but was still just Lizzie McGuire. It's common for Disney stars to feel trapped in the role of a young and innocent child, and to attempt some fairly drastic measures to try to erase this image from the public eye. Fellow Disney star Miley Cyrus had this same problem, and she solved it by getting half naked on stage at the MTV Video Music Awards in 2013. With this move, Miley was able to transcend her childhood appeal and make a name for herself as a popular and more adult-oriented entertainer. Other Disney stars, such as Lindsay Lohan, tried the same tricks with less success and ended up becoming tabloid disasters in the process. As a more modest person, Duff was never one to take her clothes off to try to be more adult, instead preferring to make a name for herself as a mature entertainer by simply taking on more mature acting roles. Sadly, the typecasting of Hollywood producers seemed to prevent this, and Duff eventually faded into obscurity, unable to find a role that suited her. This made it all the more exciting for the adult actress when the prospect of a Lizzie McGuire reboot came to the table that could put the iconic character in a more adult light, with an intended release on Disney's new streaming platform, Disney+. In the reboot, which would follow Lizzie navigating her life as an adult, Hilary Duff saw an opportunity to change the image of both herself and character in the public eye. The actress was almost immediately militant about the prospective reboot, taking to social media and the press to hype up the potential for this more adult-oriented reboot of the beloved Disney show. Sadly though, as is often the case, Disney had other ideas. With the reboot, Hilary Duff saw the potential for her to take a more formative role in the show's conception and direction, feeling no one would be more in touch with the concept of an adult Lizzie McGuire than her. She saw the potential for the show to essentially grow with its audience. The children who grew up watching the original Lizzie McGuire were now adults, just like Hilary, and it was those adults who Hilary was hoping to aim for with the content and tone of this new reboot. This would entail much freer discussion on adult topics, such as sexuality, than the typical Disney format would allow, greatly exceeding the norms of the original PG-rated sitcom. On paper, it sounded great, and many prior fans of the Disney sitcom were getting fairly excited about the idea. Duff wasn't always excited about the reboot, though, and was in fact slightly hesitant to jump on board during initial pitches. She saw it initially as a backwards step. She turned down the offer for the reboot for years, in various forms, before inevitably relenting at this most recent idea. 2 episodes of the potential reboot were filmed for a pitch, and then the reboot was put on hold for some creative adjustments. It was here that Duff really became passionate about the project, seeing it as a way to, quite literally, break the mold that had trapped her for so long. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the like button to support more content like this in the future, and subscribe to be notified when more content is on the way. Over time, Hilary has become more comfortable with being pigeonholed as her iconic character. She moved on from it and grew into the real-life role of wife and mother, focusing her attention more on her family than on her creative endeavors. Still, in the back of her mind, she was always set on breaking free from her artistic chains, and was always eyeing an opportunity to come back into the public eye in a different way. With the reboot, Hilary saw a way for her to take control of her public image. But after the initial few episodes were filmed for the pitch and things were paused for creative adjustments, performance, many people began to wonder whether it would happen. Given that Duff had expressed her desire to take the reboot in a more adult-oriented direction, breaking away from the original PG tone, many people wondered if there were creative differences occurring behind the scenes. As the show continued to sit in development purgatory, the rumors began to grow, and people were constantly asking Hillary if any progress was being made. As the Disney Plus streaming platform was unveiled, the trouble became a little more apparent. Disney Plus is adamantly PG in terms of content, and the idea of a more PG-13 Lizzie McGuire reboot seemed like a far cry from the type of content that was initially present. If Hillary was adamant about only appearing in a reboot that met her specific standards, it appeared there may be some potential problems occurring behind the scenes. The press became more and more curious, and Duff didn't have many answers. At the prospect of a PG-rated Lizzie McGuire reboot, Hillary Duff could only balk. According to her, a PG reboot would be doing a disservice to the audience by limiting the realities of a 30-year-old's journey. Of course, this was likely more indicative of Duff's own preferences than what the public truly wanted. As the very family-friendly Full House reboot, Fuller House, which was on Netflix a few years ago, received little to no criticism for its lack of adult material. Still, for both herself and her fans, Duff was adamant the reboot needed to be relatable. Duff has said she, quote, really wanted to do right by the 30-year-olds who grew up with Lizzie, meaning she wanted to make sure that both the rebooted show and her iconic character were growing up alongside her audience. According to her vision, quote, 30-year-olds have sexual experiences and drink alcohol. And she added, the executives at Disney were simply having a hard time wrapping their heads around what it would look like on their platform. She routinely expressed confidence that they could come to an agreement on a product that pleased them both, while still being appropriate for Disney+. But eventually, Hillary Duff finally confirmed that the Lizzie McGuire reboot was officially dead. The star took to Instagram to share her feelings, expressing that she had been so honored to have the character of Lizzie in her life. She was appreciative of the fans' loyalty and love for her and her character. It was this reason she didn't feel right taking part in a watered-down reboot that she didn't feel had much respect for her more mature audience. The reason the reboot wouldn't be moving forward, as most expected, ended up being irreconcilable differences between Duff and Disney's own vision. She went on to further explain some of the issues, sharing that she would want any reboot of Lizzie McGuire to be honest and authentic to who Lizzie would be today. She encouraged fans to take a moment to mourn the amazing woman that Lizzie would have become and the adventures they would have taken with her if the reboot had come to fruition. She went on to say everyone tried their best and the stars just didn't align. As the news was finalized, Duff expressed some hope that the reboot could eventually move to another streaming service such as Hulu, but that wouldn't place such extreme limitations on the type of content allowed. However, as of now, those are only distant dreams. On a brighter note, Hillary Duff herself continues to live happily with her family and has recently taken some more mature Hollywood roles, including in the recent film The Killing of Sharon Tate. Although the buzz around the film wasn't all that positive, it represented a clear break from the trappings of her iconic character, and that's likely all she cares about. While Hillary Duff will always be remembered most for the Disney sitcom, she won't let it define her. Any way you look at it, the future is bright for Hillary, whether that future occurs in Hollywood or not. Comment down below to share your own unique ideas for a Lizzie McGuire reboot, or simply share your favorite moment from the original show. And be sure to like the video to support more from Trender, and subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when it's coming.